How is Hollywood getting involved in the cannabis business? Jaleel White is an American actor, producer and screenwriter, known for playing the character of Steve Urkel in the television series Family Matters, from 1989 to 1998. Currently Jaleel White is part of the cannabis industry through his partnership with 710 Labs, and the creation of a cannabis product line called ItsPurpl, featuring variants of the popular purple Urkle strain. In this edition of Cannabis World Journals, Jaleel White tells us about his process in the cannabis business and the creation of his brand.
Now, well, I would like to ask you, like, first of all, I know that you recently start with this entrepreneur of cannabis. I would like to know, how was the process? How is that you start with this work that you have with this company, with this partnership that you have?
Well, I've actually been wanting to get into the space for a long time. I think a lot of people are aware of the strain Purple Urkel, and so for like 15 years, people have been texting me pictures and from dispensaries and like, hey man, do you have anything to do with this? And I'm like, no, I don't. I have nothing to do with it. And I actually didn't even have my first smoke until I was probably in my early 30s. I was on a ski trip with some really, really good friends, and they brought some cannabis, and we had a private chef, and it was like 8 guys, and it was just an amazing experience because they brought some really high quality stuff, and it wasn't like the stuff you just smell around teenagers. This was dope. This was hydro grown, and I started learning, and I kept watching the industry just become more and more legal. And more legal it became, more and more people would send me Snapchats of Purple Urkel from, dispensaries and whatnot. Even Bobby Moynihan sent me one. He was my co-star on a CBS series I did for a season. And I was like, when Bobby sent it to me, I said, okay, look, I got to do something about this. And I got lucky. I was meeting all the wrong people. And one day I was literally just on a plane flying up to speak at Pixar, believe it or not. And I was seated next to a guy who was the founder of 710 Labs.
Mhm.
And Brad and I just kind of hit it off. And I didn't really know how much 710 Labs meant in the space of cannabis, but he gave me some samples, and I shared it with my partner, a guy who keeps me on the straight and narrow of what's quality and what's not. And he was like, "Whoa!" He fanboyed. He was like, "Hey, you met Brad?" He just freaked out. So Brad and I kind of forged a friendship from there. And it was a very slow process, really, to be quite honest. He just, we couldn't find a business model that made sense for his existing company, but we just enjoyed kicking it. We just enjoyed being around each other. When the worst of COVID hit and everybody was quarantined, Brad pulled up on me. He pulled up on me with this sweatshirt and a whole bunch of more swag. And he said, man, what do you say if we put the seeds in the ground and we do a phenol hunt? And I'm like, okay. I go back to my partner. I'm like, what's a phenol hunt? What's a phenol hunt? And so I'm learning as I'm going along, and the seeds are in the ground now, and we fly up to Oakland together. And I remember going up and down the aisle, smelling the different plants. And I was like, I'm at plant number like 6. I'm like, I can't smell anything. At this point, I'm thinking my nose doesn't really work. And then finally I got to one. I was like, this has a nice fragrance around it. This one, he was like, cool, we write that one down. And then by the time I've done this with like 30 plants, and now I have about 3 of them, I'm like, okay, this is what a phenol hunt really means. And it's a fascinating process because I had to trust my nose the way I trust my tongue and my taste. And I had never done that before. And we really, really did get some really special stuff with the Purple Urkel that we put in the ground. We also put a Mindo Perps Time Skittles in the ground, and that came out badass. The name of my company actually is ItsPurpl, and it's kind of a play on words, really, that people, when they see me out in the streets, they'll be like, hey, it's Urkel, and they think I can't see that. I'm like, you're kind of obvious, dog. And I kind of wanted something in the cannabis space that really kind of took back the power of that. It's like, no, it's purple. And really also we want to be the best of purple genetics on the legal side, across the whole spectrum. So just because we might put a purple Urkel in the ground doesn't necessarily mean that's our best purple. So I'm here for the best purple genetics, and that's how the whole collaboration got started. And now it's time to scale and grow, and it's been completely overwhelming because I'm still technically an actor and a writer at heart, but I deal with a lot of operation stuff now. That's just has me feeling like, okay, there's a lot of people calling me in one day.
It could be a little bit hard, but well, the good news is that everything is going like growing and growing, as you say, and it's really great. Also, well, now that you were talking about the legalization, how has been your experience with this, with the legalization of the process? How it's going to like, how do you think that it's going to be moving forward in the future?
I mean, right now we make this amazing noodle doink. I'm really proud of it. It's people think that it's pre-roll, but it's not. It's actually a hand roll, and it's got a beautiful rotini pasta filter. And people are like, "What is that? Is that a real noodle?" Yeah, that is a real piece of noodle. And the coil just does a great job of cooling the smoke, and it's nice on the lips. And anytime I whip out the noodle for people who haven't experienced it, they're like, "Wow!" They're blown away by the quality, and they're just blown away by the simplicity, to be quite honest, of what it is. Then we also make a live resin pod. This is what I like to call my soccer mom product. Let's see if I can get this darn thing open. Yeah, so there's the box, slides out like that. It almost looks like a Tesla key fob. It's so sexy. It's got this one really needs to get promoted more, and I plan on doing that. It's got no buttons. That was something that I really wanted. I couldn't stand that press it twice, press it 3 times. I don't like that. I think anybody just wants to have it and pull. You can buy a new battery, you can buy a new pod. We're working on making sure that you can buy them separately for the collab right now. Unfortunately, you can only buy them together, but we want to make sure that we can ultimately make sure that the customer can buy them separately. And it's live resin, and this is the Mendo Perps and Skittles that just came out like fire. I mean, the quality is just, go ahead, take a look at that bad boy. Quality is just absolutely amazing.
Actually, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's got
and
a USB
really
port right there. You charge it just like anything else in your house. And then we also have our 8s, and our 8s go fast. The purists of the cannabis community, they still like to touch it. They still like, seeing the crystals and getting the sticky on the fingers. And, so the 8s, they fly. I want to get into edibles. I want to also do some more lifestyle things, to be quite honest. I love linking cannabis and food culture. I'm a big foodie. Music, traveling, comedy. I think those are the things that we touch on the ItsPurpl spectrum as far as lifestyling goes.
Oh yeah, I got it. Well, yes, as you say, you always show up yourself as a foodie. So you tell me that you wanted to make like some edibles. And what do you think, like, to go into beverage or into other like cannabis infused foods? Like, what do you think about that option? Like, to go into restaurants or go with the option for people who start an entrepreneur of food with cannabis?
Yeah, I'm open to a lot of different things that we can do. I just want to make sure that anytime I develop something for market, that I got a pretty high standard myself with things that I'll consume, and once I meet that standard myself, I'm pretty confident other people might even just be blown away. So we're not in a hurry to just slap our name on anything. If I do put out a gummy, I'm like, well, why is our gummy special? That's just my mindset when I develop anything. What makes us different? We've got a lot of interesting plays. I'm definitely not one to talk about our R&D. When it's ready, it's ready, and I just hope you guys will give me a look then when it comes out.
I got you. Okay. Well,
I have a question, Mr. White. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Veronica.
Nice to meet you. Veronica.
I'm a huge fan also. I'm very excited about this interview.
Thank you.
One of the things that interests me about when we were researching you and researching your thing with cannabis was that you said that you're a foodie. How do you see the scene with cannabis infused food and chefs that are coming out doing catering and food trucks and that kind of stuff? Where do you see that scene going inside with the industry as the industry grows and as the legalization is broader? Where do you see that going?
You know, I think high-end cannabis, I would like to see it become as synonymous with a great meal as a wonderful glass of wine. You know, as soon as you think you see a great bottle of wine, your mind automatically, we've been programmed to think, oh, what meal can I have this with? Would I have this with a fish? Would I have this with tacos? Would I have this with, you know, a steak? And I really see that happening for cannabis as well. I'm actually really good friends with Chef Nikki. She's Dave Chappelle's personal chef, and a whole lot of other amazing people's personal celebrity chef. She does a lot of cannabis infused stuff. Where Chef Nikki made me a cannabis infused lobster mac and cheese for last 420, and I kind of forgot the next day that it was cannabis infused. We want to make sure that doesn't happen to people so often. I think that there's two kind of meals experiences, though, to answer your question, Veronica, more clearly. I think you can have the cannabis infused meal. I think you can have the cannabis pairing meal. And I really see that experience becoming something that will be more popular in the future.
Do you like cooking with cannabis?
Well, I don't cook so much. My menu, what I cook is a little bit limited, but what I cook is great. You know, I'll mess you up with some French toast. But you know, I love having you know, cannabis inspired and cannabis infused meals. I mean, I genuinely do. We had a great one with Donnell Rollins around the holidays, and that you know, Chef Nikki and her people were behind.
One last question about the food thing. Food it's a communal experience.
Yep.
Usually, and it's a familiar and it's a bonding experience also. Yep. How do you see how cannabis values that same thing, that unity relates with the food, and how do you see that expanding throughout the community itself?
Yeah, look, it's an icebreaker. It really does. It's a great icebreaker. I know West Hollywood, for one, has they've issued like 3, I think, consumption lounge licenses. I'm actually friends with 2 of the guys that have 2 of those licenses. You know, so I would love to see ItsPurpl products in there. I would love. I can't wait to see the menu that they ultimately curate. You know, it's gonna become, you know, the same as going out to a bar, except you're going to go, and I think if you're going to go to a place where cannabis is sold in a lounge-like environment, and, you know, best believe those lounge-like environments are going to be required to have some food, and people are going to rate that food as harshly as they do any food anywhere. So the culinary world meeting like that, it's happening. West Hollywood is on its way to becoming a mini Amsterdam. I can see that. I don't know if they're gonna have the girls in the windows, but I'm just saying, as it pertains to cannabis, I see West Hollywood becoming a mini Amsterdam a lot quicker than you realize.
Wow. Sandra, to you.
Yeah, very well. That's really great to hear. Well, I would like to ask you, what do you think about the federal laws and like the development of the legalization that has been in the United States? As you know, at this moment, the cannabis is legal, like in some of the states, not for federal law. Yeah. But what do you think that is going to change in the future? Do you think that, well, that at some point maybe the federal government is going to start to say, okay, it looks, this is great, So it looks, this is something that it's good for the people. You think that that is going to happen like soon, or
Yeah,
maybe?
no, listen,
in
the
the
federal
future?
government has already taken notice. You know, politics are politics. I think there are people who want to make sure that certain people get credit for certain advancements and other people don't. And really, that's what it's all about. Is but the march is on. I don't. I would be surprised if we even got to 2028 and cannabis wasn't federally legal. I would really, really be surprised. It seems like another state falls in line with what the future is for cannabis. Every month, it really feels like at this point. And I'm encouraged by it. You know, I want to always make sure people understand that I'm aware of this messaging, though, when it comes to cannabis. There's so many generations of people who have suffered criminal charges, had their homes and their families negatively impacted by charges brought against them in association with this plant. And I think that was one of the reasons why, even as a kid, where it was just kind of like, nah, cool, because it was just that stigmatized. So it wasn't until I was in a legal state like Colorado, and I'm sitting here with a private chef and 8 white guys, that I'm enjoying this legally. And we've got to do something to atone for that as a country, and make sure that as this legalization happens, that these people who were the pioneers are not just swept aside and forgotten. And big business will do that real quick. So I want to always be socially conscious about what cannabis was, what cannabis is, and what cannabis can be. And just let people always know that I'm aware of that. And most of those that the criminalization that has taken place, for the most part, have been people of color. There are some amazing stories for people who are not of color, but for the most part, it's been people of color that have been incredibly affected by cannabis laws. So I want to think positively. I know it's going federal. I wish I could say something with greater insight, but it's like every 3 months I meet more influential people in the space, and I learn just as fast as you ladies are learning. Maybe a little faster, maybe a little better. And I see a very, very, very bright future for cannabis in this country and the world.
Well, yeah, sorry. Hopefully it's going to be in that way. Hopefully in a couple of years, we're going to see that cannabis for medical purposes, or even for recreational purposes for adults, it's going to be like legalized in all the states, also like in the federal state. And well,
I even have some products I like to make for pets. A lot of people don't know how dogs have been helped by cannabis. Like I said, I won't leak some of our ideas or whatever, but I'm like, it's a miracle plant. It's an amazing miracle plant, and it was a gift to us by our creator.
Yes, it's right. This is like it's a plant that has been existing like for a lot of time, and now it's good to know that people is getting like conscious about the benefits that this plant has for everyone, as you say, for pets, for people with different kind of disease or situations. Well, I would also like to ask you, now that you were talking about at the beginning, that when we were kids, the conception of the plant was like, this is not something good, this is wrong. And unfortunately, in the United States, it has been seen during a long of time that the minorities has been like the ones that has been like the people is like always over the minorities with these kind of plants. They think that because you are part of a minority, you are using the plant for something bad instead of for good. What do you think that is like the conception, or how do you think that we can go ahead and move from that, like changing that mindset?
I think one of the things that you can do is create content that creates a new narrative around the plant. Nothing moves a needle faster than influential people. Notice I didn't say influencer, I said influential people. And entertainment, pushing the cause for anything, and not in a heavy-handed way, just like, hey man, this is normal. I'll give you a good example. Seth Rogen and Conan O'Brien on Seth's last episode, they smoked on air. Nobody's ever done that before on a live cable program. When people see a guy as influential and as beloved as Seth and Conan especially partaking in that, it's not hurting them, it's not harming them. Their jokes are funnier, and everything is more joyful around them for doing this. That was a monumental step forward. We're conditioned to think that it's okay in any scene for everybody to be at a bar having drinks, right? Why should it be any different? So it's all about the individuals who have different faces that are not the cliche faces associated with marijuana and cannabis. Those individuals will ultimately be the ones to move the social needle faster.
Well, yes, that is correct. That's true. Well, actually, recently we had the opportunity to talk with Kevin Smith as well. It was a great experience. And with Shovel, the bassist of System of a Down. I think that those kind of persons that are worldwide, that the people of around the world are able to get to know whether you as well, maybe in different scales, but I think that is a good way to teach people to make more conscious to the world about benefits of this. And like, I would like also to ask you, what do you think, or what kind of recommendations or you can give us to our readers, like to the persons that are trying to go and start in this industry of the cannabis industry?
Starting in the industry, I would encourage anybody to, get your licenses, work with people who are licensed. That's going to help more than anything when people do great things on legal side. Also just when you connect with a brand or you connect with a product, celebrate it, share it. I almost feel like, some people want to just kind of stay in the dark with their enjoyment with cannabis. I mean, especially when I whip this bad boy out, it's so funny how many people, I don't smoke. I don't smoke. And then an hour later, they're like, well, let me just try it. I was like, you sure this is the first time you've tried something like this? It's like, acceptance, man. Just acceptance, man. Curation and acceptance. I'm so proud of this because it's such a high level product. It's literally, I want to keep the two worlds separate, but it's the alcohol equivalent of me holding up a bottle of 1942. And if I had a bottle of 1942 for, a room full of guests or friends or whatever, the party about to get started. And they'd be so proud, to be quite honest, that it was like, that's what we're going to partake in. I try to stay near quality. I'm a big flavor chaser. I like to pair cannabis with the everyday experience, whether I'm hiking, skiing, just normalizing where and when it's even appropriate,
To give it a positive spin,
Exactly.
to message,
Exactly.
because it's been in the dark for so long, and seen with this judgment, with this negative judgment that right now people like you, like Shavo, like Steve D'Angelo, and all these celebrities and, like you said, influential people that are now being more open about it, give a bigger chance for other smaller people that want to partake of the industry, and now are more excited about it because they see an opportunity there.
We're all here to inspire each other. So
Mhm.
we can inspire each other negatively, or we can inspire each other positively.
Exactly. And it's better to look at it positively. In that
Yeah,
context,
you're doing a great job for the cannabis industry. Yes,
Thank you.
it's pretty amazing.
Thank you. That's cool. I felt that genuine. Thank you.
in that take, regarding
You're the only one who hasn't asked a question. I don't know how to say your name though. It's Flora. How do you say your name?
Alibert.
Alibert.
My name, Alibert.
Alibert. Alibert.
It's a combination of my parents' names.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of good to know that. Good to know that. Okay, well, I would like to ask you as well, your brand, where do you see it in a couple of years, in the next couple of years?
Oh, in a couple of years, I hope we're in New York. I hope we're in Florida. I hope we're in Michigan. I hope we're in Illinois. I'd like to be in anywhere from 5 to 10 states at least. And Nevada, Arizona, I could just think about the states that I want to be in that have reached out to me. A lot of people from these states have reached out to me. I'd like, I'd like for us to be more recognized as a lifestyle brand across the board. Not just cannabis, but also for, things that are just of, cool items and, everything from really sneakers to snowboards to it's a culture thing that I'm trying to create. We released a waffle iron with the brand at the beginning. It was a waffle iron of my face. It was hilarious, and we sold out of them really quickly. Like we completely underestimated the demand, but it was an old school cast iron waffle iron. And if you're gonna make waffles with your family or your kids and you're smoking or whatever, it's a fun thing to actually just play around with, in the kitchen. We've got so many other fun ideas like that, I'm saying, to just foster a good time. I can't wait to release all these products, but I just want to be in more states, really. I just want to be in a lot more states.
Okay, and do you think that maybe at some point, or maybe after you move into different states, do you think that you can go like worldwide to another country?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the joy of it. Actually, it was like we got so much press for it. We got press in Spain and Australia and all these different places. That was like the press, unfortunately, is ahead of the legalization. So that's where I have to be patient. But this is definitely a worldwide play. Definitely.
Okay, yeah, so that will be great. Maybe someday we can see your products like everywhere. Not only in
you have to get the word out, that it's like, it's the company name is ItsPurpl.
Mhm.
And we are the house of Purple Urkle.
Fabulous.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, Purple Urkle is just one of our strains that we're very proud of, that we did a great pheno hunt for. But, if you love purples, period, we have something for you, and that's, if you're a purple appreciator, this is where we want you to feel like we're building a community for that.
Well, I would also like to ask you, at the beginning, you said that the first encounter that you had with the cannabis, it was because a lot of people was always sending you pictures, selfies with regarding to your character or that
Trap world.
Yeah, as a Purple Urkel. Do you think that if maybe you didn't get that picture selfies from other people, do you think that at some point you were going into cannabis?
No, I wouldn't have. It was, every time somebody sent me a photo of myself, on a T-shirt or or rolling tray, or just the name on on the jarring. It just continued to reinforce that this was getting bigger. And so no, I take no, I took my cue. I didn't, and these were cues. It's almost like God poking you, be like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. You want to pay attention now? I'm doing this. And I'm just happy I got the message. I mean, it's probably been one of the coolest things that I've done in my adulthood at this stage, to be quite honest, just from the response. The response has been literally like 99.9% positive. You're always gonna get one person after a while who's like, I didn't really see you doing, I don't care what you see me doing, homeboy. Do you see that line out there? These people are thrilled. Like, either hop in that line and join our party, or keep it pushing. But I just kept getting accused that this was the right thing to embrace. I remember when people would even send me the photos. People would be like, aren't you going to sue these people for using your image? And this, that. It was like, I never had the inclination to sue anybody. Like, I just never did. I was like, nah, like, I know they're using some images that they shouldn't be using, but they're using it in a way where they're celebrating my personal legacy as an actor and as a performer. How many people can even say that they have a strain named after them that everybody knows, right? So I just chose to be flattered about it until the legalization let me know this was going to be a bigger issue than just me being flattered about it. But I'm gonna be responsible with it, but I feel like it was like a higher power just tapped me for it and said, got something for you if you just pay attention.
Well, yeah, that's great. It's like a signal that it was for you there. It was the world telling you, hey, you need to know about this. You need to take a look.
Yeah.
Well, that's really great.
I got about a couple more minutes, if that's okay.
I have one last question. One question. How because we were talking about your perspective in the future and all that, but I want to know, how has your life, your personal life, been affected or impacted by your going into this industry? You personally, how you feel?
Me personally, man, it's done nothing but enhance my life. I think one of the coolest things I was able to do during quarantine is I had a lot of comedian friends that were going out to visit Dave Chappelle at his summer camp.
Mm-hmm.
And in Yellow Springs, Ohio. Of course, of all places, Yellow Springs, Ohio, this little town. And all these celebrities were descending upon this town. And, nobody's working at the time. The comedians are just working out their material in a cornfield of all places. And people are watching them in 2 pods going all the way back in this cornfield. And I show up and I'm like, I've got my cannabis. And everybody just fell in love with the noodle. And it was like, I was already cool with everybody, like we were all, but it was like, it just took our relations to a whole nother level. I remember Donnell Rollins and certain other people would be, smoking other stuff at the after parties. And it was just like, nothing was measuring up to the noodle. And it would be like, man, get rid of that, man. Go, where'd you live? Where'd you live? And it was just, it was a different way to be known in a room. Mm-hmm. And I liked it. It was like, it's a wonderful thing to be at the center of provision. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it has done for me socially and personally. Individuals I may not even have had a conversation with, Noriega, one of my favorite rappers growing up. Obviously, he's got the podcast Drink Champs. I was backstage with Dave. Again, Noriega was showing off the stuff he had. Dave was like, "You need to try out that noodle." Now I'm cool with Noriega because of that. So there's something about this plant that when you're sharing a high quality of it with other people, you make an instant connection that you never forget. And it also seems more meaningful, to be quite honest, than sharing alcohol. It's like if somebody shows up with a 6-pack of beer, it's like, oh, great, put that over there. But if somebody showed up with some bomb, it's a whole different, a whole different respect level.
Mm.
So that's how it's affected me. It's giving me a different greeting. I walk in the room and people are like, oh, wait, it's him. You got the purple on you. It's been kind of cool.
That's awesome.
That's great. Yes. Well, I would like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to you today, to have this little chat. And we are really happy to know that more and more people are getting involved into this industry,
Yes.
and that you are also like have the opportunity to get into this industry. And thanks for the opportunity. I know that our readers are going to enjoy a lot this interview.
That's
It was
up.
a pleasure to talk with you today. Well, and I'm going to proceed to stop the record right now.
You're the best. Thank you for showing love.